Back with another video for you today. Today I'm talking about Bon Parfumeur fragrances once again. This is part 2 of a 3-part series of videos I'm doing on the house of Bon Parfumeur. Are you a fan of this house? Do let me know. Put a comment down below. But the last video I did was back in June and I covered the collections from 000 all the way to 400. If you missed the video, please go catch it to learn about this house. Today I'm talking about the collections 500, 600, and 700. Those would be gourmand fragrances, woody fragrances, and aromatic fragrances. There's one gourmand fragrance in the 500 series. I'm assuming they're coming out with another one soon. There's 3 woody fragrances in the 600 series, and then 2 aromatic fragrances in the 700 series. If you want to learn about these fragrances, please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. I'm talking about Bon Parfumeur fragrances. Let me know if you're a fan of this house. Put a comment down below and let me know your favorite fragrances from this house. It's interesting. I have a friend who loves this house. For some reason, he clicks with the brand. He's not a designer perfume wearer. He likes niche. But he also likes to wear more simplistic fragrances, not daring fragrances. And I feel like this is a great collection of fragrances if you're trying to graduate from the designer world and start wearing easy to accessible niche fragrances. And I feel like you can do an easy job with looking through their collections, and they are broken down into different olfactory families. I'm looking at my printout from their page here. So I mentioned 00 for cologne, 100 is a floral collection, 200 is a fruity collection, 300 is the spicy and amber collection. 400 is the vanilla collection. So those were done in a previous video. The 500 I'm covering now. There's one gourmand that's going to be discussed. The 600 is woody. 700 is aromatic. And then finally 800 and 900 will be the next video. That'll be aquatic fragrances and special collection. So yeah, it's easy to find fragrances that you like. You just think of what kind of the smells you like in the world and you want to potentially wear. You can go to those categories and start testing out the fragrances. I have links to the brand online here and also to Ministry of Scent, who sells the fragrances as well. So let's get started with the first fragrance in the gourmand category. There's only one in this collection and it's called 501. It's 501, and then I should show you how they do the boxes. On here it says gourmand right there, so it's a gourmand collection. And this, they highlight the 3 main standout notes: pralines, réglisse, which is licorice, and patchouli. So it's in French. It's a French house, by the way. But overall, the notes break down as pralines, hazelnuts, licorice, iris, amber, patchouli, musk, bergamot, and yuzu. For me, it's a very caramelly, vanillic, praline-focused fragrance. When I wear this one also, it gives me some fruitiness and flowers in there. So it's almost like a sticky, caramelly gourmand with slight chocolate and vanillic touches, but when I put it on skin it gives me a bit of a fruity, like almost like red berries or some kind of a berry note, and then of course the floral notes in there. So nondescript kind of white floral notes and things like that do come in with this one. Let's go ahead and quickly smell it. This is 501, by the way. Let me know if you've sampled this one. I was hoping they would have more gourmand fragrances, but they only do have one. They do have a vanilla collection, which is covered in the previous video. So yeah, it's vanillic for sure. It's very caramelly, and I feel like pralines do have a bit of a caramelly edge. Slight nuttiness for sure comes in as well, but there's a brightness here, and I feel like we're getting that from licorice. It's quite powdery, and of course ambery when it's drying down, and it's a bit fruity. Maybe the licorice is giving us that fruitiness. I don't know, but it's a delicious gourmand. I feel like if you like this kind of a gourmand with all these type of styles thrown in, the caramelly touches, you know, caramel, vanilla, and pralines all rolled into one, because I feel like they're calling it pralines, but they're probably adding a few other notes to create this kind of a praline effect. And I'm noticing some of the other notes that are in here that kind of come off like the other notes, like the vanilla and the caramel. It's a really delicious gourmand. Not one of my favorite from the collection. I actually have a few favorites in the woody collection, which is strange because I've mentioned how much I'm bored of woody fragrances. But the first 2 woody fragrances I'm going to talk to you about are quite nice for woody fragrances. And some of you were asking me recently for a video on dry woody fragrances. Sadly, I've done plenty of woody fragrance videos, but if you're looking for a dry woody fragrance, this number 601 is going to do it for you. This is Vetiver, Cedar, and Bergamot, it says, a very fresh vetiver, and this features notes of vetiver, cedar, sandalwood, bergamot, pink pepper, grapefruit, pepper, violet leaves, and cypriol. So they have pink pepper and they also have pepper. And I'm a little uncertain if that's black pepper because they've mentioned pink pepper, or is it like a pepper, chili type of pepper? No, most likely it's black pepper. But this is a who's who of woods. Vetiver, very grassy, earthy, woody for sure. A bit creamy from the sandalwood, and the cedar is also really, really nice here. So it's an overdose of the woods, and then the citruses and the spices coming. It might be a bit simplistic to wear. I feel like the 500 one is a bit more interesting, but it's actually smelling great. This is a really nice smelling, straightforward, citrusy, woody, spicy fragrance. So let's quickly smell 601. I would actually call this a vetiver, a fresh vetiver fragrance as well. I think the zinginess of the citruses that are in here against the woods and the earthy grassiness of the vetiver is quite nice. And I always mention how is it that unique that they do combine grapefruit and vetiver together. For some strange reason, I feel like vetiver and grapefruit are a perfect match when, you know, brands or perfume houses are trying to, you know, combine vetiver with a citrus. For some strange reason, it does really nicely blend with the vetiver note. It adds a slight saltiness and bitterness and a zing, which I like quite a bit. That zingy, spiciness that comes through. But this is more about the bergamot, so there's a lot of freshness here. And the bergamot typically has a bit of a floral edge. But really wonderful. I can't believe how good this is. And anybody looking for a simplistic woody fragrance to wear, I think 601 is going to satisfy. And then the next one in the series, 600 series, is 602. This one's really good. Really, really great. This is black pepper, cedar, and patchouli. To me, I don't know if I've ever mentioned, which probably I have many times. I was a Lebanese guy, so where I'm born, the cedars of Lebanon is very famous, and I love the smell of the cedar tree. And this cedar smell in here with the patchouli and the black pepper, I can't believe how good this is. It's insanely good. And again, these two, the first two, the third one I'm not a big fan of in this collection, which I'll get to in a bit. But the 601 and 602 are really great woody fragrances. I can't believe the quality of them. And especially 602, I love that whole patchouli, cedar, black pepper combo here. It's great. It's a bit green as well, and I feel like the color matches this particular fragrance. But the notes are cedar, black pepper, incense, vetiver, patchouli, benzoin, pepper, neroli, St. Thomas berries, which I believe are bayberries. Wonderful fragrance, guys. If you like, again, a kind of a green-leaning, earthy, woody, spicy fragrance, this one's really great. And the cedar in this is super fantastic. If you've ever bought cedar for, you know, putting in your closets for the moths and things like that, the cedar in here is a bit like that, and I love that smell. I love the smell of cedar, personally. And here, it's a nice cedar, really, really fragrant. It's like almost like you're walking through a cedar tree forest, and you can smell the smell of the cedar. I think this is a perfect fragrance paying tribute to the wood of note of cedar, and it excites me because there's just a realistic cedar smell here. And I think it's the combo of the notes together, or maybe the cedar is very, very prominent in here, but it truly reminds me of authentic cedar smell, because sometimes there's cedar in fragrances that doesn't really smell like the aromatic smell of the cedar that you would smell in a cedar forest. But here you can. It is nicely done. Maybe it's just all the notes combined together, but it's beautiful. 602 is amazing. I'm going to put that one to use. I love the way that smells. And then up next is 603 in the dark bottle. These are a bit more, you know, concentrated takes on the fragrances in the darker bottles. They're more luxury, I should say. I like this one. I don't love it as much as 602. I think it's nicely done, but this one doesn't excite me as 602. and even 601. But this is leather, incense, and tonka beans. It's 603. It's a mystical leather, it says, featuring notes of leather, incense, violet leaves, nutmeg, cypress, tonka, cashmeran, and lemons. Don't worry, it's not about lemons. It just adds a bit of freshness here. It is mostly about the leather, the incense, and I feel like even though they say leather, incense, tonka beans as a prominent notes, I do get a pretty ozonic touch of the violet leaves in here as well, and so the spices of the nutmeg comes in too. But it's a woody, leathery, smoky incense resin fragrance. Again, it's not a bad fragrance. I much prefer 602. I just love 602. It smells so great. So really great. But this you might like as well. This one does seem a bit more concentrated, a bit more intense. Could be also the leather, but there is a bit of freshness there with the ozonic touches of the violet leaves. You know, it's a wearable leather incense combo. I feel like it's totally wearable. If you like smoky incense resin fragrances along with the leather, and then of course that violet leaves, it's got a freshness, you know, it's a bit watery against the other dry notes. I think you would like 603. Again, myself, I'm a 602 fan, but check out 603. You might actually dig that one. And then last but not least, we're into the 700 series, which are considered aromatic fragrances. And if you don't know, aromatic notes could be herbs. It could be some spices. It could even be notes like eucalyptus, cypress. They do have a very aromatic smell, including the cedar. Not the woody part, but like the whole entire experience, the leaves and things, there's a very aromatic smell. But in this case, we're talking about aromatics. The first fragrance is eucalyptus, coriander, and cypress. Very aromatic explosion here because of the notes, because the coriander is also very you know, aromatic, even though it's a spice, and it's considered an aromatic explosion. That's what they call it. But it's eucalyptus, cypress, amber woods, grapefruit, coriander, pineapple, rosemary, peppery, incense. And I like these two, but I prefer 701 over 702. I felt like 702 was not as aromatic for me as this first one. Even though it features lavender pretty prominently, everything else around it was just kind of not acting aromatic, and I wanted a little more aromatics with that one because I'm, you know, spraying an aromatic fragrance. But this is a really nice tribute to the aromatic experience. And even though they're not using like an herb note, they are using aromatic ingredients. So usually the herbs are very aromatic. But the eucalyptus, you'll really notice it. Here in San Francisco, we do have a lot of eucalyptus trees against the ocean. And if you walk at the parks, especially after it rained, you get that smell. It's so amazing, the eucalyptus and the wetness and the dampness and all that kind of stuff. The eucalyptus is captured here perfectly. This is definitely an aromatic explosion. It's just a spicy, aromatic, green, kind of a herbal, maybe. Not herbal as much, but you know, there is rosemary here, so I can totally notice rosemary. But it's a nicely done fragrance, I think. I still prefer 602 much more, but I think this is definitely a great one as well. 701 from the House of Bon Parfumeur. What are your thoughts on this one? Let me know. And then the final fragrance is 702, Incense, Lavender, and Cashmere Wood. The lavender in this one is pretty prominent, I kid you not. I think it's a really lavendery fragrance, but I wanted a little bit more of aromatics. I like the way 701 is working a little better than 702, but some of you might like this one as well. It's considered a woody lavender. That's what they call it. Lavender, cashmere wood, incense, cedar, Peru balsam, vanilla, white musk, elemi resin, pink pepper. Those are the notes for this one. Yeah, I think if you like the idea of the lavender in this, you might like it. I just felt like it was a bit boring. Lavender, incense comes in quite a bit as well. And then you've got that musky note of cashmere wood. Kind of has slight ambery touches. This one's quite powdery. I like the previous one a lot more. It's a little bit more exciting. And this fragrance also could have been nicely featured in a woody, powdery, woody, musky video that I just recently did. Because it's quite powdery and it's a dry, once again, the dry is pretty prominent here. It's a very dry fragrance. If you like the dry fragrances, this is definitely one for you to try. It's very woody and also aromatic. So 601 and 702, very dry fragrances. This is for the person that was asking for a dry fragrances video, dry woody fragrances. But this definitely, 702 for sure, is on the dry side. Again, the collection is pretty solid. It's perfect for those folks that are graduating from designer fragrances to niche. Definitely try some of these fragrances. There's some really great ones. I think for me, 602 is the winner. Really love the way this smells. Now I'm covered in it. The cedar in that is so realistic. I love that. And it's just not the wooden part. It's all the aromatic and very fragrant part of the cedar. But what are your thoughts on these fragrances, guys? Let me know. Put a comment down below. And then again, stay tuned for part 2. In the next couple of months, part 3. And I'll get that up within the next couple of months. And hopefully there will be another fragrance I'll also mention in that video as well, because we're only left with 2 more collections. Either way, thanks so much for watching today. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you are in the market for these fragrances, I have links in the info box to Bon Parfumeur and also Ministry of Scent. If you're in San Francisco, you can always smell Bon Parfumeur over at Ministry of Scent. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.